Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the brand new IndySportsOne podcast. Today, we'll be talking about Kenny Moore and his new 4-year contract extension. But before we get into that, we just want to say this is not going to be your traditional 45-minute to an hour-long podcast. It's going to have more of the mini podcast feel, only lasting 5, 10, 15 minutes. Something short and sweet that you can plug and play, maybe on your way to work, walking around campus, wherever, but enough to keep you up to date on everything Colts related. If you are not already following us on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow us on both at IndySportsOne. And now that we got that self-promotion out of the way, let's talk about the NFL's new highest paid slot cornerback, Colts' very own Kenny Moore. After spending 4 seasons at Division II college Valdosta State, the undersized 5'9", 185-pound cornerback Kenny Moore did not receive an NFL Combine invite. After the 2017 draft concluded, he was still without a team, but was quickly picked up by the New England Patriots. As their minicamp progressed, he was later cut and was once again a free agent. Leading up to the 2017 season, Colts fans weren't too sure if Andrew Luck was going to play or not. Reports were saying he's starting week 1, then it was week 6, and then it was that his season was in jeopardy. We all know that he ended up not playing a snap that season, but what we did know that season is that Chris Ballard was going to continue adding talent and competition to this roster. During 2017 offseason, as the cut-down day approached in September of 2017, many Colts scouts approached Chris Ballard, asking him to take a look at Kenny Moore. Now, Chris Ballard will be the first to admit to you he wasn't very intrigued by Moore at first due to his small size, but when reviewing film and looking at his arm length and many other attributes, he felt that was enough to offset him and eventually signed him during the 2017 offseason. Moore would start 5 games for us in 2017, but it wasn't anything special. His leap came last season in 2018. As the 2018 approached, us Colts fans, we were very pumped. We got a new head coach in Frank Reich, who just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. We drafted a Hall of Fame guard in Quentin Nelson. We found a gem in Darius Leonard in the second round. And our quarterback, Andrew Luck, is coming back for the first time in a while, injury-free. But 6 weeks into the season, we were left there 1-5. Now, granted, a lot of those games were close, but 1-5 is 1-5. After a players' meeting, things started to turn around, and a lot of that is credit to the defense, and especially Kenny Moore. Among all cornerbacks last year, including the postseason, Kenny Moore ranked first in total tackles with 95, first in sacks with 4.5, tied second for interceptions with 4, and fifth in pass deflections with 14, and in the playoffs, he also set the Colts playoff sack record. Now, with those stats in the Colts turnaround last year, going from 1-5 to ending the regular season 10-6, Kenny Moore is all deserving of his brand new contract. But interestingly enough, Chris Ballard didn't have to get this deal done this year. Kenny Moore becomes a restricted free agent next offseason, which means he could have played this year on his $695,000 base salary that Ballard originally signed him to in 2017. Instead, Ballard decides to lock him up, once again showing it doesn't matter if you're a first-round draft pick or an undrafted player. If you perform, you will get paid and you will play. And he's done that multiple times, not just with Kenny Moore, but he did it with Pierre Desir this offseason, re-signing him to a good paying contract. We signed him as a free agent. Also, Mark Lewinsky, our starting right guard, we signed him before last season, and now he gets paid to stay in Indy. And also, long snapper Luke Rhodes and punter Rigoberto Sanchez, who are both undrafted free agents, both get locked up for the foreseeable future, and Luke Rhodes becomes the highest paid long snapper in the NFL. So adding those to Moore's contract, it is once again showing that Reich, Ballard, it doesn't matter if your name's Andrew Luck, Antonio Brown, the biggest names in the NFL. If you're not performing and you're not contributing to the locker room, you're not going to get the money that you want. And Ballard just showed that once again with Kenny Moore. So before we wrap up this episode, I just want to say congratulations to Kenny. We at IndySportsOne, and I'm sure the rest of the Colts Nation, is super excited to have you back. If you guys follow Kenny Moore on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, you'll see him doing community events all the time, visiting children's hospitals, visiting children with illnesses, all that stuff. So he is a baller on the field and a leader on the community, and we can't wait to see him back on the field next year and have him locked up for a long time now. So that is going to wrap up episode 1 of the brand new IndySportsOne podcast. Give us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you have some feedback for us, if there's a commenting section wherever you're listening to this on, make sure to comment, leave some feedback. Constructive criticism is greatly appreciated as well. Or you can DM us on Instagram or Twitter and give us your thoughts. So thank you all so much for listening, and go Colts, and congratulations, Kenny.